Well, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to my TED Talk on shrinkage. I am an absolute menace right now. Well, welcome back. In today's video, I'm basically going to do a breakdown of my big gear and my little gear. I have two piles here, and they're basically essentially the exact same pile, but I have a big gear and a small gear. So I'm loading up this van right here, and I'm going for 2 months on the road. And these safari vans, these Astro vans, are not very big inside. So space is going to be an absolute premium. Especially me, I'm going to have my canoe and my bike and all that stuff with me. So space is absolutely at a premium. So instead of taking all this big gear, I put some time and effort to get a lot smaller gear. So we're just going to go through the small gear, talk about it, and maybe I'll even show you some alternatives to go even smaller if that's what you need to do. So first things first, we're going to look at this big pile. We got a 10 by 10 pop-up shelter. We got a picnic table. We got a propane fire, propane tank for the fire, barbecue, tank for the fire, 2 chairs. You always gotta have 2 chairs with you because you do have 2 seats, and you never know. Even if you're traveling alone, you might want to hang out with a stranger or something. Or you could break a chair. So it's always good to have 2 chairs. And then we're gonna go over to the small pile, and we have another shelter, but this is 8 by 8. We have a table. We got a propane tank for this propane fire. We got a mini grill along with the tank and 2 chairs. Because like I said, you always gotta have 2 chairs. So I think we'll go through and we'll break down each of these piles and kind of compare and contrast these solutions. Okay, first things first, we're gonna look at these tables. First, I'm gonna make a little bit of room here. Keep that out of the way. Keep those out of the way. Here we go, we got a big old table. I got this table for free from my aunt, literally because it was too heavy for her to carry along. It has served me well, and frankly, I actually built my van around this table fitting under the bed, along with stuff on top. So, like I said, this table is serving well, but it is heavy. It's probably 20 pounds, maybe even more. I feel like 20 pounds is a lot, but it is just a plastic table, very robust, folds out, it's got legs, super easy, legs lock in place. It definitely has its purpose, but if you compare the size of this thing compared to this table, I just bought this thing on Amazon. It is Fat brand, which I'll kind of say is kind of a off-putting name for a picnic table, but it is, I would say, less than half the size. Obviously not scientific, I'm not going to weigh this, but I would say less than half the weight. The size, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 1/5 of the size, and yeah, less than half the weight. Man, maybe 1/3 of the weight, potentially even less. But if you open this one up again, boom. I am an absolute menace right now. There we go. We have a table. It's 6 feet longish, 2.5 feet wide. Standard picnic table. So, we're going to this one. Again, Fat, terrible name, but I guess somebody thought it was cool. I think it's 1998 or something again. Oh. We'll pull all these pieces apart. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these bad boys. Slide this out of the bag. Oh, silica packets just went flying. And we are going to take... Oh, let's see about being a menace. Okay, caps are on. This is the main table frame itself. I'll throw that down for now. Then we're going to go and we'll put these support pieces together. Very lightweight aluminum, or I should state that. Okay, I got a support. Basically clips in there, clips in. Man, this is clearly a lot less user-friendly than the big picnic table, which I would say is a negative. Not that this is super complicated, but I would have already had that other picnic table up by now. There we go. And this one is a little harder to get in for some reason. Pop that bad boy in. Pop this bad boy in. Okay. That in there. Make sure that's in there. Now we have a table base. Add our tabletop to. There we go. Get a little bit of sweat going. So that was clearly not as easy to put together, but this table, like I said, is so much smaller and lighter. But if I compare it to, well, I'll move this camera first. If we compare the size, it's about a foot shorter, as wide, a tiny bit lower, which is not ideal because you don't want to be bent way over cooking. But I think all that is totally worth it. But if you wanted to get even crazier with an even smaller table, we have this thing. This is what I call a canoeing table, but you could also put it in a van and it will suffice, I guess is the word. Maybe that's the word. Flip that over, that over. Put that in. That in. And there we go. So that is another option. But if we put this on the ground, you can really see, like if you were cooking breakfast, you got to be on your knees or kneeling down, or have a small chair sitting by it, compared to a real table or my other lightweight table. This table, personally, not really worth it. Like I said, is my canoeing table, so I just take it when I go canoeing, or like this trip I'll probably take it in the van, and then I have a cooking table where I can leave my stove and all that stuff. Have this when I'm sitting around a fire, put your plate on it, put your drink on it, charge your phone, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, that's what we're looking at as far as tables. So let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna use this table as a filming table. So here we go, we got a full barbecue, or a mini barbecue, I guess, along with a tank of gas. And what I got over here is a different style of gas to go with my new portable butane barbecue grill. This thing's made by Outbound, but I bought it because when I go camping, I eat a lot of like burgers. I enjoy them, probably my favorite food in the history of the world. So I needed to have a barbecue, but this barbecue is pretty bulky when you think about it, and I just did not really want to have to house this along with all my other stuff. So I bought this at Canadian Tire. They said it's the Outbound butane barbecue grill. Comes in this sweet little carrying case, and basically this is a little grill. So this canister goes up in here, and then it's just a little grill. So I should be able to grill up my burgers. Obviously you don't have the same like dome, it doesn't cook quite the same, but it's got a little drip tray, and I really think this will be super easy and a nice solution for the space of having a barbecue. Not much to it, there's just a knob, may or may not have electric start, I don't really know. I've literally never used this. I'm just showing you what can be done to shrink a barbecue down to a nice grill. Okay, next thing up on the docket, we're going with a propane fire pit. You might have actually seen this on the channel before. This is not a new device, but it is much improved over its old device. So this is my portable propane fire. Like I said, I actually have a full video of this on my channel where I reviewed it, but it's the Outbound portable propane grill. I got it so I can use the little 1 pound adapters. So that basically replaces this big fire pit, and more importantly, this big propane tank. And obviously I could shrink this down to like a 5 or a 10 pound propane tank, but it's still large compared to these, and these are obviously not cost effective, but they are 1 pound and so much smaller than one of these. Sorry, it's very dirty. And then this fire pit itself is so much bigger than one of these, and this, obviously there's different types of fire pits, but they're all large, and when you compare the size of this, it's like a third of the size. And like realistically, I'm gonna take this and if I put my 2 burner stove on it and my barbecue grill, my mini grill that I just showed you, is probably slightly taller than this. So like this is not even a feasible thing to take in my van, but being so small, it actually is totally fine. So that is a huge improvement. This is getting this right out of the way. But with fire, you could even go smaller. So I'll go over here. I have I have two other things here. That this is a compact campfire. I think I just got this thing on Amazon. Comes with a little, essentially a coaster. But this is basically just a candle that you would light, and it would burn. Fuck me. It's hot. Well, screw it. It's too windy and I burned my thumb. So I'm not going to show you, but it essentially is a candle that will burn for, I don't know, probably like 8 hours or something, but very compact. But I'm not 100% sure you can have those everywhere, because it is technically an open flame. But what I have here is this is a fire maple lantern. I seen this on, I think it was Dan Becker's outdoor channel, and he suggested it for like backpacking. But it is a lantern that you can flip down this little handle, and then it's basically a little, it is a lantern, but to me it's like it'll flicker like a fire. And if you cannot have a fire because you can't fit this stuff, you will be very happy to have a flickering flame of this thing with you. So like, that's how small you can get to have a little portable fire on the go if you don't want to take this bad boy with you. And I think I will actually do a full review of this once I get outside and start using it more, so I know how it works. I'll probably do a full review. And actually, I'm going to give one of these away on this channel, so like and subscribe, and that'll be something that happens in the future. But for now, we're gonna move on to the next thing, and we'll keep shrinking. Okay, now we're talking about shelters. So this is an Ozark Trail 10x10 pop-up canopy from Walmart. I think this thing was like 109 bucks, and it's 10x10, and it's quite large, but to me, 100% worth having one of these in your van. It provides instant or semi-instant, whatever that would be, shelter. It is not totally waterproof, but it's like water resistant, UV proof. So whether you're using it for water or for shade, you always have a canopy. A lot of people go with awnings in the van, which would shrink your in-van load quite a bit, but then your shelter has to be right off the side of your van, period, end of story. There's no other else to put it. And I think you still depend on trees or pegging it out, but this is just a freestanding shelter, so you can put it right next to your van, behind your van, or take to the beach, wherever you want to be. So I highly recommend these. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. And they are not that expensive. I think this is like 110 bucks. But the alternative is a little bit cheaper and a little bit smaller. So this is the Ozark Trail 8x8 shelter. So it's a little bit different shape. I think the legs are kind of bowed out a little bit versus straight up and down for the 10x10. But it's 20% smaller, right? It's 8x8 versus 10x10, so there are savings. So this is quite a bit smaller. And then for my vacation, I'm very up in the air of which one I am going to bring, but I'm thinking about taking the smaller one just because it's smaller, and I'm not going to be under it all the time. I have other things I'm going to be doing, like going canoeing, so it feels like a waste of space to have the big one. But if I was going for a weekend and had a group, I would just take the big one. But for me, I'm going solo, not in the van the whole time. I'm probably taking I think I just talked myself in to only taking the 8x8. So with that being said, I'm gonna get these out of the way, get this table out of the way, and we're talking chairs. Now we're back, and we're talking about chairs. This is a portable standard camping chair. I have 2 of them. You always got to travel with 2 chairs. So we'll put one of these, probably should have been gentle there. We'll put one of these up. Incredibly easy to open. Now you have a chair. This is an outbound chair. It has a high weight limit. I'm a big boy. Weight limits on chairs matter. I've got good use out of this. I've had this chair for 2 years, used all the time. It's a good chair, but get that out of the way. We'll talk about these camping chairs. So I just ordered this camping chair on Amazon. It was $69, and I bought a pair of them. Again, you always gotta have 2 chairs. And if you compare chair 1 versus chair 2, 2 chairs is less than the size of one of these, which is a huge savings. Also, this is a little more portable, so if I went to the beach, I could take my chair. Not that I wouldn't take the other one, but now we gotta talk comfort, because it is great to shrink your gear, but if it's not functional, it is not worth doing. So we'll pop this open. And these were, I don't even know the brand name. There's a ton of similar chairs on Amazon that are all essentially the same or damn near the same. I personally went with this one because it did make sure it was clear that it had a high weight limit. It's rated for 330 pounds, and I'm a big boy. I'm damn near 300 pounds. So that was one of my big deciding factors. Definitely not by brand. They're all very similar in looks and similar in price. So until I'm sponsored, I will say you cannot really go wrong with any of these standard Amazon camping chairs. The last one is always the hardest. There we go. So now, if we sit in this, man, it feels pretty stable, relatively high. It's about the same height as the other one, but the biggest thing I noticed was a lack of armrests. I would like an armrest, to be honest with you. And I have seen these chairs, similar brand at least. It was called Kilos Outdoor, that I almost bought. I bought them on, or seen them on Instagram. They were $162 a piece. And I had them in my cart, and then I decided to go the cheap way out. And I bought these ones, which were $69 a piece. So I bought 2 chairs for cheaper than the Kilos Outdoors one. But the Kilos Outdoors one had armrests. And while I have not sat in one, I think if I were to do it again, I would buy the more expensive ones with armrests. So that's probably in the future. I think I might throw them on my Christmas list to get ones with armrests, but this is very doable. It feels very stable, and compared to these, definitely worth the price, and it's definitely worth the upgrade considering how much smaller than they are, how much lighter they are, and comfort wise they're damn near the same, and I'll find something to do with my arms. Anyways, I do have one more chair that I'm going to show you, so I will be back in a moment with another chair. Okay, we're going to get this one out of the way. I'll come in with another camp chair. This is, well, I should say, comparatively, another 25% smaller Then this is another Amazon special, backpacking style chair. And I'll show you some of the downfalls of this. This is a NatureHike brand. There are very similar ones, but this actually looked the most sturdy, considering it has this metal tube design, versus, if you look here, it's got all these plastic parts. Plastic. This is all metal, which is maybe something I would look for if I were to buy those again. We go, what are we doing here? Put the small end on first. I put this on upside down. Dang. So I feel like that goes to show you that while these things are pretty simple, they are not nearly as user-friendly as the big old standard camp chairs. And there is a price, whether it be cost or in the cost of efficiency, it's worth it, you know. But anyways, this is the chair. So again, this thing has a 300 and something pound limit, which is what I need. But this thing is considerably lower than these chairs, and it is a decent place to prop your butt, but compared to something like this, especially like this, the comfort is definitely not here in this chair. So while I would recommend shrinking down to something like this, I would not shrink it as low as something like this. But that's just my opinion. This chair might also be a little bit better for somebody that was smaller than me. I said I am 300 pounds, so sometimes things are not built for me and they might be built for somebody else. But to me, this is more of a kid's chair or a straight up out backpacking chair. Although I carried it once backpacking and I kind of regretted it, but that was because I was out of shape. More for canoeing type of thing. But when you compare this to this, just a way better sitting experience. And I don't know if it's worth the 25% less size of that compared to this thing. Anyways, with that being said, that's the end of this video. That is how to shrink your van's base camp gear.